So here what happens that when the Kundalini rises, when she goes to the Agya Chakra, which represents, as you say, the third eye, whatever you may call it, it is between the optic chiasma and it looks after the pituitary and the pineal body. And as a result, we have developed two institutions called ego and superego. The ego is the one which tells us, I have done it, I am doing this. Both these institutions are sucked in by the enlightenment of this center. And that's how the thing opens out. And all your karmas are sucked in. So there's no problem of karmas. Only human beings think that they are doing karmas. Animals don't. They have no sense of sin or anything. They are completely under the bondage of God. So in Sanskrit they are called as Pashu, means under the bondage. But we are the ones who have got freedom. That's why we think that we have done this and we have done that. We should not do this, we should not do that. But when the Kundalini rises and she awakens the center, then both these things are sucked in. And when they are sucked in, then you do not do any karmas anymore. You just are in a karma. You do everything. I mean, I travel, you know, such a lot, and I have a family, and everything is there. But it's just happening. I'm just seeing it. I'm not doing anything as such. So when you are also awakened, there's no obligation. It's just happening. It is so. Is here where we should understand this center is bestowed upon by the great life of Christ. Christ is there. And they said that He died for our sins, died for our karmas, is a fact. Because when He is awakened, these two institutions are pulled inside. And you get your Kundalini out there. It opens out. And this bone, which has been calcified, opens out. And the Kundalini pierces through. And this is what it is that He died for our sins. But still the theory is extended that we must suffer. Why should we suffer? He has suffered for us already. And is already written by Thomas, who was traveling to India via Egypt, where he wrote the treatise, and he said that why should we suffer? Christ has already suffered for us. And he's talked everything about Sahaja Yoga. He said it is an experience of self-realization and everything. And that book now is out in England. After 48 years, they could decode the whole thing, which was found about 48 years back in Egypt. And is out now, and is beautiful. Gnostics is the name of the book. But is not so much appreciated by some of the people because it challenges the theories of sufferings and confessions and all this nonsense.
You awaken the Kundalini at will.
Awaken the Kundalini at will.
Me or you? You cannot awaken yourself. You see, you have to have one enlightened candle to enlighten another candle. This candle, which is not enlightened, cannot enlighten itself. But there's no obligation. But you can correct. Once it is awakened, you can correct it, you can develop it. First, only few hair-like strands of this energy come up and open the fontanelle bone area, and then this flow of Ru starts flowing on you, and it relaxes more of the centers, so more of these strands start coming up. So you can develop it at your will by understanding it, but you cannot enlighten yourself by yourself. Now one thing is there obstructing Sahasrara is the movement of your Agya into thoughts. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that stops your entry into Sahaja. Thoughts are coming all the time. Because a human being is born who reacts to everything. React to this and react to that, and the thoughts come in and thoughts go. There's a big crowd of thoughts. Because of that, your attention cannot cross over Agya and can reside in the Sahasrara. So first of all, one should see what sort of thoughts are coming. You have to condemn yourself sometimes. You have to say, what nonsense, what have I been doing? What's the matter with me? How could I do all that? Once you start doing that, these thoughts will start disappearing. These thoughts are coming from two angles, one from the ego and another from your conditionings. And these are so much built up within you that they don't allow your Agya to be crossed. That's why we have two bija mantras of Ham Ksham. First one is, when it is conditioning, you are endowed with this kind of a fear. I shouldn't do like this, I shouldn't do like that, is not allowed, that is not allowed. That's the conditioning part of it. Conditioning can be of many types. But the ego part of it is that I must overpower everybody, I must get this, I must be able to rule everyone. These two things are there in the mind which are all the time crossing. So it's important that we should go into thoughtless awareness. And that thoughtless awareness is the real way that your Sahasrara can be nourished by the Kundalini. Because Kundalini cannot go through, cannot pass through. And for that, as I said, there are two bija mantras. One is Ham, another Ksham. So if you are conditioned, you are frightened, you are afraid, and you had ideas about yourself. These days, the way people are describing, they'll say, I'm an extrovert. Somebody will say, I'm an introvert. Somebody will say, I'm hippie, I'm that. All kinds of things they can have attributed to themselves. But these ideas are all coming from outside. They are not from inside. To get to the inner side of yourself, to the subtler side of your being, you must allow the Kundalini to go through the Agya. To cross the Agya is a very important thing in modern times. And for that you have to meditate. If you can meditate with complete faith in yourself, this Agya can be opened up. With surrendering to the Divine. You have to surrender yourself to the Divine. And when this Agya opens, you'll be amazed, your Sahasrara is just waiting to transfer, to give you all the help that you need through the all-pervading power. Your connection of Sahasrara with the all-pervading power is established. And by that you will be amazed how all these 7 chakras work for you. How they help you. How they try to give you whatever is the real knowledge about everything. This real knowledge that you get is very joy-giving. You can see this real knowledge in everything. You don't have to start reading any book about it. In every situation and in every person, in every flower, in every natural happening, you see clearly the hand of the Divine. Once you see the hand of the Divine, your ego starts disappearing. Once you say that it's you do everything. Kabira has said something great about this. He said that when the goat is alive, it goes on saying, I am, I am. But when it is slaughtered and its intestines are made into strings which are used for cleaning the cotton, then it said, tu hi, you are. See, in this symbolic way, they have suggested that you have to become the dissolved into this divine power. It's the divine power that does everything. What am I? I was just a drop and I fell into this ocean of awareness of the divine power. And that is taking over and working it out. That will help you a lot to be a great surgeon. You develop curing powers, but still you are not proud of it. You developed, of course, awakening powers, you are not proud of it. You develop so many creative powers and you are not proud of it. You become really very, very creative, extremely creative. But the greatest thing happened to you that you become a global personality. So you start seeing the problem of every country, of every other nation where they have problems. But these problems when you see, you don't see like other people, because others may like to use it for their own purpose, maybe for media, maybe for something. What you want to see is that these problems are solved. See, your powers are so great with this kind of a mind, I would say, which is dominated completely by the divine power, that whatever disturbs you immediately is taken over and it starts working out. Many problems have been solved by Sahaja. And also they can be solved on a very universal level. If you are a global person, then what happens is that you become a sort of a vehicle, or you can become like a channel for this divine power to act, because you are purely a global personality. Not attached to this, attached to that, but a pure Sahaja personality which can be used by this divine power very easily. For that, as I told in the afternoon also, that we have to be careful about few things that we have. Firstly, anger. Anger is the worst thing that we have. Angry for what? There are people who talk like this. I was very angry. They're proud of their anger. Anger is a sign of complete stupidity, absolute stupidity. There's no need to get angry with anyone, because by anger you don't solve the problem. With anger you spoil yourself. With anger you ruin your own nature. With anger you really spoil the whole situation. So no use having any anger about anything. But if anything happens that angers you, you should settle down and see for yourself, why is it wrong? Why is it disturbing you? Your seeing itself will help this problem to be solved. You must first of all realize that you are a special personality, that your Sahasrara has been opened out to this all divine power, as if you are entered into the realm of divinity. You are great guests in that great court of divine domain. You are not an ordinary person. And so once you understand why you have Sahaja Yoga and why you have got realization, is that there's something special. But that should not give you any ego. It's not for ego that you have to have this, but it's for understanding that you have to play into the hands of the divine. This play is something I could explain like this, that if you are supposing an artist, then in the hand of the artist is the brush, and the brush never thinks that it is doing anything. It's the artist who is doing everything. In the same way, when you are one with the divine power, you just feel, I am not doing anything. It's the artist who is doing. It's the artist who is managing. And who is the artist? Is this divine power which loves you, which cares for you, which looks after you, which absolutely is identified with you.